S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. As we look at the SPY specifically here, we had that break today of 580 and we were looking for 578, 577.5, and you actually ended up breaking down even deeper down to 574 before you really found some support. Now, I do want to highlight that this is a massive support. This would have been our next range, as you can see here as well. I just did not anticipate that massive sell-off right below that support once again, kind of stair stepping like we were, but then ultimately breaking back down. But again, you found buyers where you needed to, and that's where we kind of ended getting the retest of that 578 here at the end of the day, going into some of these earnings. Now, also too, before I go too far, like I post stuff in Discord all the time, there's paid content, but I want to say right now, Twitter is where I post a lot of free content, and today I was telling you all about this. We're looking for downside down to 578, the break, the retest, and continuation, and ultimately that was there. So again, Twitter is a great source where I can really tell you guys stocks I'm liking, free stuff throughout the day, other setups, what's happening as well. Like today with what happened with Apple, we talked about what happened with the orders in the iPhone 16. This ended up dropping even deeper. So again, I recommend following. The link is down below. Now we go a little bit further and we look at what's happening with Qs as well. We said Qs were looking good. Qs were looking awesome, right? But we said if you start breaking below 593, making a lower low here out of that structure, then you were looking for that downside down to the 487. And what happens? You break, you retest, and you push down to 487. We talked about the likelihood too of getting some sort of sell-off to pre-election and seeing some of these sellers might start to step in. Now, and that's what kind of happened on the day, because volume, like we've been talking about, has been scarce. Like volume's just been lower than usual. 30 million, 34 million, 37, 36 yesterday, 34. And this was like 28 roughly. This is much lower during market hours, right? After hours, get an extra 5 million here and there. Look at your average volume coming in here as well to the S&P. I want to be very clear. Your average volume does typically step up throughout the week. Like we've mentioned, Monday, Tuesday's lower. Wednesday, get a little bit of a spike, but Thursday, Friday, we get more. And I anticipate that into tomorrow as well. I think volatility stays in play here, and I do think we have potential for upside, or at least upside on volume. Now, we also mentioned Wednesday and Thursdays, more of our red days. That's where we were preparing for a little bit of a pullback going into today. We talked about Thursday, might see some continuation. But I will say, though, when we look here, the biggest sign of concern was what's happening here with Dow. This is what I was mentioning yesterday as well. The fact that we saw Dow start to sell off and see sellers stepping in finally was concerning. I want to tell you that right now. So when we look at Dow, what was the big thing we talked about yesterday? It was your lack and your reaction to 43,000, right? So yesterday we saw a really nice bounce on Dow, as you can see here, and then ultimately end of the day going into the close, sell off, aggressive, right? And then all pre-market, you consolidate, market opens, and you just start pushing down to the downside, as you can see there. And Dow was really your weakest area of the market for the majority of the day, and I think led us here, right? And so that's the biggest thing right now. Can Dow start finding some buyers? Because Dow and ES have been carrying the market. You saw the occasional Nasdaq bounce, but as of right now, Dow is still showing weakness, okay? Nasdaq here as well. Again, I want to go heavily into Nasdaq because, again, although we look at the Nasdaq, I want to give her this support here. This was your range, right? We clearly know, we've been talking a lot about it. We've been clearly trending back and forth in between 20,500, the occasional breakout, but you would come back down at 20,330, and you back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's been the story since essentially early October, right? But now you're breaking below. And arguably here in the after hours, it's going to be very important to see how we react coming back into 20,330. Do we get to push back through this, right? If you get back in this range, then cool, we really didn't do anything, just a fake breakdown to the downside, okay? Now, the other part of this, right, are some of your big areas of support that still, we were watching before. Again, your previous high here from August, again, big level there. And then your next really big level you guys know all about. And we really don't want to talk too much about it because we were there forever, 1996. Okay, so there's some big levels that are kind of, playing out here. So you ended up dipping back down, and that's where we kind of came into. Again, you ended the day back above that 20,256, which was nice. But I also want to highlight too, there's a lot of levels here that we've seen over the past few days. The little swing low we had right there, 20,200 roughly as well. Finding buyers right beneath it, pushing us back above. So end of the day, not terrible. I think there was a little bit of, a little bit of uncertainty up in the air, to say the least, okay? But I will say in the after hours, you're getting help right now because of earnings, okay? So I want to make that very, very, very clear. Earnings are helping you here. to say the least, right? Tesla reported well. LRCX reported good. IBM, not so hot. We'll let you know that right now. And that's kind of the big, these are the rest of the earnings for the week. I mean, the rest are very minimal in my opinion, okay? So I'm gonna let you know that right now. Big earnings are kind of out of the way. You had earnings on Dow this morning. Those didn't do that well, and that's why Dow really saw weakness. And the after hours, you have IBM down slightly at 226. This could continue selling. It's worth mentioning. You know, you are at all-time highs here on IBM. You know, actually, no, you're not. I'm sorry. Let's go to the weekly to make sure. We have to go way, way, way back. But yeah, you are at all-time highs. Getting, you know, you could come back into 207. I would be looking for that type of retest in the near term if sellers step in on IBM. That could be a great opportunity. We mentioned it way back here, but you know, we're not talking about the past. We're talking about right now. Going to Tesla. Again, you guys know I've been bearish on Tesla. I've been begging for downside on Tesla, but guess what? In the after hours, Tesla is moving good. Their margins were really strong. I think 20% increase in margins, which is really good for them. Pushing back into the 200 weekly SMA. I was looking for that downside push to 202 out of these earnings. You're not going to get it, as you can see now. Going into tomorrow, very simple. Like I've said, get back over the 200 weekly, you trade it back to the upside. You have room back into 246, 247, and then back into 254 roughly. So we'll talk more about that later on. But again, that's what you're looking at there on Tesla. Reported well. LRCX, maybe the most important one here. I'll go into why. Again, bouncing here in the after hours a little bit. 76, not great, but still getting a good reaction so far. Finding support off that bottom as well, which is what you want to see. If buyers step in here, you're looking for a pushback into 89.90. But why do I like LRCX so much? Because of semiconductors, people. Semiconductors. I mean, today, that was one of your weak areas of the market, right? We go to the 1 hour. Semis broke back below 250, aggressively rejecting as well. And you drop down to 246. Semiconductors go down, Nasdaq goes down. You need to understand that. They go hand in hand. So again, we see semis lose strength, but again, semis getting some momentum here in the after hours, more demand, what you want to see overall in that market as well. So that's good news overall. If you're looking at tech, you're a bull, anything along those lines. IBM, bad for the Dow, but we'll see what happens going forward if the market starts to try to bounce. Because again, less earnings here into the end of the week. We need to understand that. Less earnings into the end of the week. Now, as far as data goes, going into Friday and Saturday. Friday, you have Michigan consumer data. That's number one. And then tomorrow morning, Thursday, we're going to have some jobless claims. That's it there. That is all you need to know. That's what's important, and some new home sales. And those are probably going to not go well. I'll let you know that right now. So again, that's the bulk of what we're looking at here right now. Now, SPY, I want to be very clear. If we start breaking, very simple action you're looking at for tomorrow. Underneath 578, you're looking for a push back down to 575 and possibly even lower. If you start breaking back below 574, I think you got some issues ahead of you. And this could be very concerning, back down into 566, 567. Okay, so very simple what you're looking for, key levels here. I'll have some of this posted on Twitter as well. Qs. You came back down to 487. Hold 487. You're looking for a pushback into 493. You're back in your illiquid zone. Bada bing, bada boom. Again, you still look fine. That's what you're looking for. Above 493, you look pretty good. But again, you're at the top of that range, so be careful once you get back into that area if you do. Okay, Dow, really just want to start seeing higher lows be established. To get bullish on Dow again, get back above 43,000. That's easy to see. Underneath that, you can expect choppiness and sellers to try to be active as well. Now, a little bit further as well, we go to look at something like DXY, what's happening broad market out there right now. The dollar continues to rip to the upside. There's been no case of slowdown for the dollar. This is pretty shocking in my opinion of what's happening broad-based with yields as well. So again, the dollar, a risk off indicator, is definitely being pushed out there right now. 30-year yields continue to pounce as well at the edge and the cusp of that downtrend, to let you know that right now on higher time frames, looking to break out. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. So those are the biggest tools that we're looking at right now. And again, paying very close attention to that. Bitcoin as well kind of came back down to the downtrend. We'll see how this reacts. Hopefully, you can get some bounce here. But as of right now, you don't look so hot. We'll let you know that right now. Again, going forward, let's look at some equities and what we're looking at broad-based in the market, okay? So number one, NVIDIA, obviously here. Now we go into NVIDIA, let's go to the 15-minute for intraday action here and what we're looking for tomorrow. Now, NVIDIA getting back above 140.77, your previous all-time high, is very good. Now, ideally, I'm going to tell you right now, you would like to see us get back above 141.8. But again, 140.77 is an aggressive entry, looking to push back into highs. Start filling that gap back up here to 143. I still think NVIDIA is very strong. Pullback, good opportunity in my opinion. AMD's been pretty weak as far as semiconductors go. Again, This is tough because this is one of the trades I mentioned in Discord this week. It's just you didn't get the follow through. You know, I got in on the first breakdown here, and you had like a hold in the 5 minute, but you just pushed back up. But then guess what happens here? You get the follow through, eventually hit, push down, reject, push down again. Day early. What can I say, right? Tough, doesn't count as a win. But AMD trying to get back up. You get back above 154.5. I think you look decent to the upside. Still not my favorite name underneath the 200 SMA. ARM, very weak right now because he's coming down to 136. I'd be careful above 150. I like the upside, but until then, being patient. AVGO, a lot of weakness established here. A lot of weakness. This is a sketchy name as of right now. If you start to break back below 173.5 and hold, this could see more downside. Be very careful here. You're kind of illiquid above 173.5 back into 177. Again, not a huge fan here. Meta. I liked Meta a lot yesterday, and you kind of broke back down. So I said above 185.83, it's a long. You didn't hold, obviously. You rejected, pushed down. Got back below our entry point yesterday, 579.65. You ended up dropping and tanking. What I'm looking for here on Meta, very simple. Get back above around 570. You have room back into 574, 577, roughly. Until then, though, be very careful. If I was looking to go short, I'd be looking for a retest and then a rejection back down towards 556, back down to this range. If you break below 555, 556, you have nothing to 543, 544. So again, the downside on Meta is interesting as well if sellers do, in fact, step back in. Microsoft, another dog of a play here. We talked about this yesterday. If you break below 425.7, it's a good downside play. You ended up breaking, called this out in Discord as well. It took all day to play out, but eventually you broke below and then dropped straight down to our targets, as you can see, 422.5 and 424. So bada bing, bada boom, got that set up. But again, we're rejecting so far at that previous low right now at the end of the day, kind of pushing back down. We'll see how this works out. I'd be looking for a retest of the 200 SMA if sellers continue to step in aggressively here. Apple. Apple is moving based on that bad news I went over and posted on Twitter. You're bouncing where you need to, near 420 or 227. If you hold that, you look good. What I'd be looking for right now, though, is getting back below some of these swing lows, basically 229.8, pushing back down to 227, and hopefully down to 224, 223, with sellers stepping in aggressively there. If buyers step in, I'm not looking to go short on Apple. But again, everything goes back into what's happening with SPY, what's happening with Nasdaq. If I'm not seeing sellers step in on Nasdaq, then I'm not trying to go short on tech, right? Again, I'm following the strength of the overall futures market and what's happening there. I'm not trying to go Rambo or Leroy Jenkins by myself. I'm trying to follow what the market's doing and take advantage of that. Google still holding the 200 SMA. Okay, let you know that. But again, Google, it's only time to go long above 168.6. Until then, I will not be doing a thing. CrowdStrike breaks back below 200 SMA, still holding 298. It's a good area, but again, you need to hold back up here. I'm being careful, not really touching too much of that either. Okay, so things I'm thinking about, things I'm watching. We saw Coinbase dip back down as well today because Bitcoin and what's happening broad-based with the market. You would like to see Coinbase get back with a 200 SMA. A MicroStrategy had a little bit of a dip as well, back down near 204, 205. You would like to see us hold $200 if you're staying and remaining bullish there as well. That's what I'm watching broad-based in the market. If you have questions, comment down below. Again, I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability. Make sure you're following on Twitter, guys. You get all the updates, everything in between, the charts I'm liking. You get to ask questions. You know, do what you got to do. It's all there for free. Also, too, if you are interested, we have our custom indicators here as well. The link is down below with Lux Algo, and then obviously our day trading indicators, what's happening with our volume, the most important indicators I use every single day. So make sure you can tap in and use those as well. I use code OD40 for 40% off. Discord link, everything like that is down below as well. So have a good one, traders. I'll see you tomorrow. Good luck trading.